I had, well, Ted and I met at a restaurant kind of in Burbank area. That's not that important, but I felt the need to say it. And we talked, and I had read the script, and I had just not read something start to finish. First of all, I read it in like a very strange, short amount of time because I realized I was reading it so fast and trying to get to the next page because I couldn't figure out, like, when was the part going to come where I was like, okay, this part's weird. Or something, and it just didn't. I was ripping through it, and I'm crying while I'm reading it, and I'm laughing when I'm reading it, and I finished.
Really weird. She reads in the top, and it was a wild scene outside, just crying and laughing from feeling.
I should say that. Oh my Lord! And I just thought it was so amazing, and so I wanted to meet Ted very much, and we met, and he told me the longer version of the stories you've heard, and I just thought, oh my God, what a kind of lovely person and what a writer, and I thought I'll do anything on earth to be a part of it. And so I auditioned, and...
She auditioned.
I did. I wanted that part very, very desperately. And
not for me.
But gladly I did. And it was kind of a dreamy situation, start to finish. It was the movie, as good as I thought the script was, and it was great. I think the movie turned out even better, and I'm super proud to be a part of it.
Great. Ted, I just have one more for you, and then we'll open it up. What is this movie about to you?
Everyone, I listen to a lot of directors say what movies are about, and I always go, what the hell are you talking about? So this is like a loaded question. I'll tell you what it means to me, and obviously you have your own opinion, but in a word, it means value. Every human being has a value, and we're so quick to put a tag on them. Like, we just do it all the time. We're a judgment. And how that value gets chipped away over time, and then you're 60, 70, 80, wherever you are, and you just have a sense of, like, what the F have I done? I got a Social Security check, and I got, And so I think everyone has a value, whether that be an unvet, a single mom, an adopted kid, a priest, a prostitute. And that's what the movie is for me, people's value. And you deserve your value, and it's your right. So, I don't know if that makes sense.
So I'll open it up for questions from you guys. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to give you a compliment.
I'll take one.
I haven't cried this much at a movie until Sid is dying.
We didn't laugh. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Great. Any other questions or compliments? Yeah, back there.
This is for Melissa. You usually play more comedic roles recently, so was it an interesting transition going back to a more dramatic role?
So the question is, normally you play more comedic roles, so was this a transition for you to play a more dramatic role?
I mean, it was a nice change. I think I would put it as that. To me, I always go off of a character. I kind of fall in love with the characters I play in my head, and I guess in my heart, there's no real difference if it's comedic or dramatic. It's a bit of a different muscle in the playing of it, and so it was really nice to do something a little more dramatic, because I did, 8-9 years of nothing but drama on stage. So it was nice to return to that, but I think it's always the character. I really liked Maggie a lot, and I liked the world she lived in, so I always go straight off of that.
Can I brag about you for a second?
Sure.
I mean, a value. So, you slap a tag on someone. Melissa, 7 years of off Broadway.
So far off. Folding chair from a flight of stairs off.
Hardcore drama, right? And then she comes to LA and gets into the Groundlings. So she comes to comedy through drama. So I think you're going to see a lot of her range and what she can do, because I think you're extraordinary. And I'm just proud of what you did.
Way in the back there, right? Yeah.
First of all, Ben, you're very funny in your new show. So kudos to that.
Well, thank you.
Would you tell, and we'll thank you so much, you were What's the story?
Okay, the question is, what's the kid's story?
The kid, and strange enough, we called him the kid on set. Everyone, go get the kid. But the kid, we went through 1,600 kids, 1,600 auditions across the country and the UK, Australia, Toronto, everywhere. And we were like stuck and panicked because you guys know how if a kid's not good in the movie, you just throw it away. It's the quickest way to ruin movies with a bad kid. Yeah. So we were stuck, and then I was Super Bowl weekend, and I went home, and I don't know if you guys remember this Hyundai commercial where there's a kid getting bullied by some soccer players, and he goes away and he assembles a geek superhero team, and comes back and they're going to kick ass. I said, that's Jaden. And I said, to casting you gotta find that kid. And they tracked him down and he came in, and I mean, he's to me, he's fantastic. He's so solid, you know, and to stand up to Bill Murray is not an easy task, as you can imagine.
Great, right over there.
You know, Bill Murray and Melissa do a lot of improv work. How much from the script did you, during the film, did you
So how much improv did you and Bill Murray do?
You know what? We did and we didn't improvise. The script really didn't need it, and I'm not saying that because Ted's here, because I would just shred him without a second thought. No, it really didn't. The story was so pretty that and well told that it didn't need a lot of extras. But would we would go off little tiny bits, say something if something happened. You know, I think both of us feel pretty comfortable to, if something falls off in the scene, you talk about it, or you get stuck up on something, you address it. The mood shifts between us, we can bring that up. So I felt very free to improvise with him. But again, we went off the map, words here and there, one sentence, never, we weren't rewriting the story, we were adding a word, an adjective, one little feeling. It was just too good to, you didn't have to mess with it too much.
The script was perfect, is what you're saying.
That's right.
I'll translate that for you.
The script was perfect.
And there was just like an and.
And if you did improvise, Ted would yell and throw.
Yes.
Next, right here, right in the front.
I just want to know, you seem to have a really good rapport with the child actor. Did you do anything to prepare to build that relationship prior to filming?
Did you do anything to bond with the kid before filming?
No, I wasn't able to come into town until 2 seconds before we started shooting. But Jaden he's a kind of a spectacular kid. He's an old soul. He's incredibly grounded. I mean, he's my polar opposite. I was a spaz, eating dirt, running into walls at that age. And he really is a kid that looks you in the eye and listens. Thinks when you ask him a question, he thinks about. I mean, you can see it. You can see his wheels turn in the movie, and that's kind of his essence. He really thinks about things and talks to you and answers you, and it's just really easy to get along with him. So we kind of hit it off delightfully. We hit it off right from the start.
I remember a lot of times on set you would just squeeze his face.
I did squeeze his face.
You couldn't get enough of him.
I know, and it was probably inappropriate because he's too old, but he's really cute. And I was without my kids for 2 weeks, so I was like, I may grab you at random times. And then I didn't just let me. He'd be like, just let me grab him, and I would release him. I would let him go. But he put up with me. It was nice.
Right over there.
Melissa, I just have to tell you are my favorite.
Oh,
I've seen everything you've done since The Girls and now Mike and Molly. I never miss an episode. I've never missed one of your movies. I admire the heck out of you.
Thank you.
I think you are the funniest thing on 2 feet. So keep it up.
Very sweet string of compliments. It was very nice. Yeah, right back there. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll come over there. I'm sorry. Hello.
I know it's hard to see.
So my first question is for Melissa, and then the second one is for Ted. For Melissa, you seem to have this really kind of interesting chemistry with Naomi Watts. And and you have very little screen time together, but like when you guys were on, it was like just really, I don't know if you've worked together before or something like that. And then my question for Ted is, why did we in the script never resolve whether or not the car could get fixed?
The question is, why in the script did we not resolve the issue of the car?
Do Naomi first.
She asked about the chemistry between Naomi and myself, even though we didn't have a lot of screen time. She's kind of a delightful lady, and she's wildly funny. I told her, there's no children here, I literally said, what are you doing with all the crying movies? I said, I get doing them, I'm all for it. I said, but why aren't you doing more comedies? And she would say, oh, I don't understand how you people do this. This is terrible. I shouldn't be trying to do anything funny. And I don't break very often at all. And she kept breaking me. And she was just constantly shoveling stuff into her mouth. There needs to be a whole reel of the amount of food she ate. Like within 1 or 2 sentences in a scene, she was taking down like 2 full candy bars. And I had a very difficult time watching that and not responding in some way. But she was just really great. And she's a remarkable actress. And to see her kind of step outside of what we usually think of her doing, but I told her, the jig is up. And Bill was constantly saying, like, your normal crying movies. Like, he kept giving her a hard time too. It was really funny.
I don't understand the second question. The car, he's never going to fix the car. He's just going to get the money and not fix the car. I did that once. People get the insurance claim. Who has gotten the insurance claim and not fixed the car? Look,
We've all
it's kind of easy to know.
insurance companies.
It's the insurance claim. I hope there's no underwriters.
Back there, the people that were mad at me from before, yes? Right there.
I just want to say that the film was fantastic. Of course, I want everybody about that. I was listening to Bill Murray on Howard Stern this week, in and out, and he said something about, I guess, maybe it's true that he drove around for a couple hours talking about the script and everything. And he said he wanted, he said there was a couple of things he wanted changed. And he said cool. And I'm just wondering if you wanted to say what that input was.
Yeah.
Should we repeat the question?
Yeah.
So it was, the question is that you drove around with Bill Murray for a couple hours, which is its own story in itself. But that he had a couple ideas of things to change, and that you said, cool, and if you're comfortable talking about them, what are those things?
Well, I said yes, Mr. Murray. We'll start with that. But anyway, he had the script. We were in the back of a town car from LAX to the Changi Indian Reservation. So we read about it. It's not supposed to work. And he had like little notes, and like say there's a paragraph of dialogue, and he would have this circled on the bottom, and he would go, you write with backspin, and I like to perform with topspin. And so it's a tennis analogy. And strangely enough, my backhand is all backspin. And I always really wanted a topspin backhand, but it's really hard. So I get scared, and I always just kind of chop it. So I didn't understand what he was talking about. So he said, you take this line, and you take it from here, and you put it up top. Right? So he gave me about 20 of those. And I went home, and I thought, this guy's fucking crazy. Really. I mean, and I did it. I did all of them. And I read them, and I went, oh. I mean, he was spot on. I can't even describe it. It made the script sharper, funnier, more dramatic. I can't, that was it. It took me like 30 minutes to rewrite the entire script for Bill. I just cut and paste. And that was all he did. And it made, honestly, it was genius, and it made all the difference in the world.
Yeah, right there.
I just want to say that if this film is not nominated for an Academy Award for Bill or for Melissa, then I don't know what's with the Academy.
But not for me.
He just wrote it and directed it. He basically just said,
I wasn't there much.
What I really wanted to let you know about, I thought this film was so authentic waiting for, oh, now what's going to happen? Is it going to like fall apart? So I just want to compliment you on the writing, on the directing, and also Melissa on your acting.
You know, we worked really hard on set to desperately to not manipulate. I mean desperately, and really tricky because, I mean, you all know where it's going to go. It's not like it's a secret. It's all St. Vincent. So you know where it's going to go. So you have to work extra hard. And Bill and Melissa and Naomi and Chris and Terry, all the actors work extra hard to just keep it, you know, pulled back. I hope we did it.
Great. Maybe just a couple more. All right. Okay.
A movie like that, I know, is so hard to get. And I just wanted to hear a little bit about how you did that, how you get Melissa, how you get Bill Murray, how you get a film like that funded. Because they're just impossible because they're so real and honest and good and not a common thing. So I just wanted to hear a little bit about that.
So how did you get this movie made, funded, get Melissa, Bill, etc.?
You know, I will almost all of the production work to the producers of the film. Peter Chernin and Jenna Topping fell in love with the film and kind of shepherded it around and was adamant about getting it made. It ended up bouncing around. And people really liked the script, and so it went to Fox and then it went to Sony, and then it ended up on Harvey's desk, and he made it, you know, Harvey, you know, he don't say no, you know, he's like the mom, and then became the mom. And so, but you know, and then Bill read it and liked it, and the whole story behind that. And once Bill got on board, it kind of everyone really would love to work with Bill. Melissa would love the idea, love the script, and it just became a lot easier. These movies are getting extinct in some fashion because they're not, you know, no one has a cape on, which is a shame, right? Because this is the kind of movie I want to see. I want to see movies about people. So the answer, the big question is support them, because we're the bosses. You and me are the bosses. If you spend your dollars on $12, I'm sure it's more than that here. If you spend your money on that, right? $13.50. That's a lot of money. If you spend your money on that, Hollywood reacts. They react, and they'll make more.
Do you think kids can go? I mean, what's your feeling? Because other than language, there's really nothing in there that.
We trimmed out a lot of language. It was rated R to start with, but we thought, you know, it's a.
I think other than there's the opening scene with Naomi and Bill conversing. Yes. I don't know. I mean, it depends on your kid and the age, but it's an awfully great story about, you know, like Ted said, the worth of people and what's family and love, and I just love that it's a mess and it turns out wonderfully. It makes the first time I saw it the whole way through, I just felt so happy and joyful at the end. I thought that's a pretty good feeling to walk away with. So.
Yeah, it's PG-13, so you could probably take like
I think so.
An infant who won't know anything, or 10.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I think 10 and up.
I think we have time for maybe one more. Is that right? Yep. Okay. So I'm sorry, right over there. In the green shirt.
All right. Can I just ask Melissa, what's your favorite part in the movie?
What's your favorite part in the movie?
Oh, I don't think I can pick one. I have a really hard time getting through, and even when I know it's coming, I read it, I saw it, I was there when we shot it, and I know it's coming, again, it's in the title, but when he comes up to actually take his moment with Jaden and actually gets his thing. Also the end I had not seen, and for some reason I could watch Bill sing that song at the end for about 16 hours. Which is like, that's why he's magic. I don't know why that's great. I don't know why that's magical, and yet I would literally sit for 16 hours. But there's too many, and I really mean that sincerely. I end up saying like 500 things and basically just reciting the movie.
Well, thank you very much.